SEC title game. Rematch of a game earlier this year that I was wrong on.
There you go.
Georgia versus Texas in Atlanta. Atlanta, obviously, always the site for the SEC title game. Who we got?
Okay. Yvonne, you my dog. I don't know why you got that ridiculous hoodie on. Listen, I watched the game. Now, obviously, it's definitely tough to beat a team twice in the same season. That's not an easy task. I'm not even going to say it's going to be an easy task. But me and Keo have been on this show time in and time out telling you if Georgia plays up to their standards, they're the best team in college football. I saw the game against Texas. Texas did make a run at it. But I just think that Georgia is just a better team in this matchup. I got Georgia knocking off Texas again, being that it's in the Georgia. Well, it's in Georgia, it's in Atlanta, and I just think that they're better than Texas. Texas, to me, this would be a signature win if they was to get it, but I just don't think they're gonna get a signature win until maybe when they get to the playoffs. This is gonna be another L under their belt. They'll fall, and Georgia will move up as far as being the 1, 2, 3 seed, depending on what happens. I got Georgia.
All right. Well,
And Carson Beck, you better not play like ball.
man, why you have to say Carson Beck, bro? I be trying to
Bruh.
ignore him, bro. I be trying to ignore him, bro.
That
That
dude
boy
be tripping.
terrible. All right. Anyway, man. I I, I had problems picking this game. Um, Even to this second, I'm still tempted to change my pick, but I just got to go with my gut. And some Reek said that makes sense. You you coming in? He don't even know what I'm about to say. Like, yeah, whatever I
No,
said, this shit was good.
no. He started off good.
Yeah, but no, man. He said somebody has to show these boys in their first year that you ain't just run through this division like that, right? So Texas in their first year in the division, they done made it all the way. I mean, in the conference, they done made it all the way to the conference championship game, and they end up having to play the damn team that beat them, and is going to beat them again. I got Georgia. Them down south Georgia boys, man. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna tell you right now, um, you gonna hear, you gonna hear. Oh man, I should have had this ready.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You gonna hear, you gonna hear a whole bunch of crazy, and it's in the Georgia Dome. And you know what? I didn't even think about that, bro. Hey, that's all you gonna hear. Hey, hey, no more playing GA. It's gonna be no more playing GA this Saturday, man. Please believe that Georgia not gonna lose in that Georgia Dome with all them boys. Pastor Troy is gonna be there with the World Heavyweight Championship belt. And they're gonna be in there acting crazy. This is the only time I actually am going for a Georgia team in that Georgia Dome. Because usually it's either LSU playing there or the Saints playing there when I'm watching them. So now I got to go for a Georgia team in that Georgia Dome. I just don't think that they can. I don't think that they can beat them. I can't see it. I think that they're a better team, even with Carson Beck. But I don't think Ewers is that much better. So it's a wash there to me. And I go with the rest of the players on Georgia's team.
Um, well, like you said, the amazingly intelligent thing that I said earlier about just coming to the division, coming to a conference, you got to show something that you're not about to just come run through. But also, not saying that they play exactly alike, but this reminds me about we had this conversation last year about I think it's Michael Penix. I don't think Quinn Ewers. I always say his name wrong. Ewers. He don't. I
Ewers,
don't. He don't give me that. I can play against a great defense
no.
type of quarterback. And that's how I felt about Michael Penix going into the championship against Michigan. You see what he did. And then we seen what Quinn did against Georgia the first time. Unless Archie Manning, not Archie Manning, excuse me, unless the young Manning is starting, I don't think Texas has a chance. I don't think Quinn Ewers can handle it. Like he just looked, he looked baffled the whole time. He wasn't getting to his reads. He was looking at the line rather than looking at the field. Like if you really watch that game, and that's the game y'all made me watch because y'all hyped it up so big, like he was scared. Like he was worried about that line breaking through. I know Ivan was talking about the best O line and all that. Well, it didn't look like it that game. And it's not gonna look like it this game. They go bust right through there. And I don't like if I always say one thing: if you got two quarterbacks, you ain't got no quarterback. So until they make up their mind who their quarterback is, long as they stay away from top defenses like that, they're good. But if they're playing against a Georgia defense, I don't see no way they beat them. And I think the game gonna be very similar. I think it's gonna be a ugly game, but where it's like not. I'm not saying blowout, but we're gonna see that it's completely handled the whole time by Georgia. Literally the whole game, whether they went by 8 or 13 or something like that. But you're gonna be able to tell that Georgia had full control of that game the whole game. I got Georgia.
And this is what I want to say, just like you just said that the beginning of that last game, it looked like Georgia was gonna put 60 points up on them. So they did come back out, make some sort of adjustments in the second half, and made it a respectable game. But at no point during that game did I think Texas was going to come back and beat Georgia. Even when they started hurling bottles onto the field and got a play reverse like some idiots. I can't believe it. The ref did.
Ivan liked it. He liked it.
Yeah, that set a terrible precedent, and and that's the type of he liked that, but he don't like kids storming the field after a big win and turning down the goalpost. He want them throwing beers and stuff on the field.
Listen, they pull that mess in Georgia this time. No fans ain't making it back home. They better not
No,
try to be that.
They're not gonna
They
do
better not
it
pull
out
that. They better not pull that privilege shit out there.
I'm telling. Hey, that's all you gonna hear.
What you got, Keo?
All right, man. Let me tell you something about the Georgia Bulldogs, man. Obviously you definitely like the running game. You like ATN. You um I like the wide receiver, love it, led by, that the defensive line and the second there with Malachi Starks. I like what Kirby Smart's doing. But man, Georgia is led by the closest thing to a pit bull right now in the SEC, man. When you talk about, when you look at when you look at what Carson Beck has done in the last 3 games, you know, 240, 247. The last previous 2 games, the game before that, 347, has thrown a total of 11 touchdowns. His QBR is close to 100 right now, one of the best in the country. If you talk about the last 3 games, his quarterback rating is through the roof, over 150 in the last 3 games. Also, I think he's playing one of the um, he's doing what Carson Beck needs to do right now, and I think Carson Beck is playing on a high note. I like what he's been doing. It hasn't been the best, but he's getting the job done at the end of the game. I just feel like Carson Beck is just toying around with teams right now. Like he doesn't even show up in these games in the beginning that have that he was in. And as good and talented and as great as he is, he'd be like, all right, man, let me start trying and let me whip these guys up really a bit. So that's how I view when it comes to Carson Beck. But at the end of the day, man, one guy got Carson Beck and the other team doesn't. I'm taking the Georgia Bulldogs.
Dude, hey, bro.
Third,
Hey,
bro.
you are the greatest hype man, I swear, dog, in history, bro.
For
Flavor
squirrel.
Flav, move over. Tay-Rock, move over. There's a new king. His name is Keo. He is the greatest hype man ever, dog.
All right. So I got one thing to say.
Talk that talk.
Take me to Texas.
Oh, hey, box office. Please don't say Georgia's not that good.
All right. So preseason, I had Texas beating Georgia midseason and Georgia getting revenge on them in SEC title. Well, I had it flipped. I got the Longhorns. I got the
No.
Longhorns. Look. I understand that. I understand that Georgia whipped our ass the first game. I get it. They did. However, if y'all actually remember, Keo, your boy did not play good at all. Beck was terrible. Texas has the best defense in the country. I truly believe that. Based off of what I've seen this year, I hope LSU was taking notes. We actually showed you how to stop Marcel Reed.
Oh
Uh,
God. It's fine for
look,
you to take
look,
shots. Calm down.
look. Um, Carson,
It's
I think
not
what everybody forgets is that Georgia defense played well and put their offense immediately in the red zone. Every score Georgia got in that first game, Beck could not do anything to Texas. He was trash. Their defense just played a little better than ours. That's it, and put their offense in better position. I think Texas makes huge adjustments. They had better second half than Georgia in that game. They made adjustments. I think they carry those adjustments into this game, and I think they beat Georgia. I truly do. I really don't think Georgia's that good. I'm going to say it again. They're not that good. They, I
Hey,
feel
bro.
like they should have beat. They should have lost to Georgia Tech. They should have lost. I think the difference is y'all talking about Ewers and y'all are talking about Carson Beck. I think what Texas is going to do is they're going to copy Georgia Tech's game plan, run the ball up the middle. I think Texas is not going to put too much pressure on Ewers this time. They're going to run the ball and they're going to run it up the middle the whole game. They're going to get 5-6 carries, and then Ewers just has to control and manage rest of the game. I think Texas is playing better right now. Since that game, Texas has been better. They haven't lost, and Georgia's lost to Ole Miss and almost lost to Georgia Tech ever since. I think Texas carries that momentum. I still think Texas is the better team, and I think they finally prove it. They win the SEC title game in their first year in the SEC. I got Texas. I'm going to say 24-10.
Oh, so you think it's a
Damn,
dominating game?
that's crazy.
I think the defense dominates 24-10.
But to give Keo's boys some credit, because I am concerned about Carson Beck. Y'all got down, I think it was 7 or 8 in that game, and Carson Beck drove him down the field and basically put the nail in the coffin. So he did have one good drive.
You
Yeah, I mean,
did.
I hope if he's Carson Beck, he'd have one good damn drive. But I really I think I don't think Georgia's winning the national title. I've been firm on that. I don't think they're not as the Georgia that we're used to this year. I
They're
think
not.
they've squeaked by too many games. They needed 8 overtimes against Georgia Tech. I understand they had the SEC clinched on their side, so that game didn't matter as much. But come on, bro, 8 overtimes.
but
They should have actually lost. They
but
should
you
have
see,
lost.
that's the thing to me that, and look, I did pick Georgia to win the national championship before the season started. But to me, Georgia's battle tested. Even when they're down, they have that feeling like of a Tom Brady or even, I mean, I know Peyton Manning didn't always win the big games, but you always felt like they could come back. Georgia has that. You gotta knock them out. Ole Miss is the only team I saw knock them out, but that weather was bad out there when they did do that. So I'm just sitting there saying to myself, if Texas is gonna win this game, they're going to have to knock Georgia out, and I don't know if they can do that.
I think Texas is also way more motivated for this game than Georgia was, or Georgia is. I had it flipped. I had it flipped. I think that Texas beats them this time around,
Why you
I
think
will say this. I will say
why
this
would you
though.
say that Texas is more motivated than Georgia is this time?
just because they lost when they got their
They
butts
have to
whooped.
be.
They
But I
have.
will say this though. If Texas is able to run like Georgia Tech did, which I don't think they will. I don't think their runners are as good as Georgia Tech runners, honestly. But if they, I think one thing that a lot of college teams do that have possible Heisman candidates is they try to force feed them stats. And I think you guys tried to force feed Ewers to get him back in the graces after missing those games. I think they tried to force feed him stats against a good team, and I think that's where y'all were wrong. So if y'all do run the ball and run it well, I think it definitely may be a good chance that Texas can win that game.
Ain't
And y'all not
ain't
the only team that do it. Every team
ain't
does that.
ain't
I
no-
don't think we try to carry Ewers to a Heisman or anything. I think Sark just loves throwing the ball. That's Sark's style. Even when he was offensive coordinator for Alabama, Mac Jones threw the ball to Devontae Smith 1,000 times a game. That's just his style. But I think he has to change his style for this matchup.
Those are better players too, man.
Ain't no way. Ain't no way they're gonna let a first year team in the SEC win the SEC title. I don't think Georgia's gonna let that happen. If you talk about
Get
motivation for
ready for it.
Georgia, that's
In the
that's
state
a
of Georgia.
motivation. Huh?
I said in
Wow.
the state of Georgia.
I'm actually shocked. I know all y'all had Georgia the first time, but now that's the same case again. I really thought y'all would. I thought y'all would respect Texas more based off how the defense played the rest of the year. Defense is really good.
Yeah, but it goes back to what we said about all other teams. Who did y'all beat? Vanderbilt, Texas A&M. I know LSU lost them, but that's not Georgia. That's not teams that you think to yourself, oh, they didn't play Tennessee, they didn't play Ole Miss. Who are they doing that to? Teams that, yeah, I said Vanderbilt's a good team, but they're not one of the teams that's going to make the playoffs. So I just don't think Texas has really played anybody outside of Georgia.
I think Texas joined the SEC on the perfect year for them. They had the best team that they've had in years, and they got the best schedule that they could have possibly gotten. They end up losing the one big game on their schedule, big SEC game in their schedule, and the rest of them, nobody was surprised that they won those games.
Well,
All the teams that
I'm
we're
a,
talking about, South Carolina, you didn't play. You didn't play Ole Miss. You didn't play Alabama. You didn't play Tennessee. All of the teams that's in the running, Texas didn't have to play none of them.
Right.
to be fair to Texas, I'm gonna defend Texas a little bit. Okay, Texas beat A&M, who beat LSU.
That's a fact.
They beat Vanderbilt, who beat Alabama. They beat
Oklahoma.
Kentucky, who beat Ole Miss. They beat Arkansas, who beat Tennessee. They beat Florida, who beat Ole Miss. So the SEC beat up on each other, and Texas beat up on everybody they should have beaten up on. So I don't think we should clown Texas for that. Like, they took care of their business, and now if they beat Georgia, nobody can say anything.
Right. And I agree with you. They beat Georgia, I'm going to give them their flowers. And to me, if they beat Georgia, I'll say it right now, they are a serious contender to win a national championship.
I give
If
them
they
their
beat
flowers for that
Georgia,
one.
if they beat Georgia, I'm gonna say they split with Georgia this year.
Yeah, they
It's not,
did.
it's not no big whoop to me. They beat them the second go around. They got beat
Yeah,
up.
but they won the SEC then. You know,
That's just
You-
how it worked out. Everybody else beat up on each other, and y'all ended up getting y'all had a soft SEC schedule, bro. Let's just call it what it is.
I don't know what that means. All I know is we won the SEC if we win.
Hey, if
Let me,
y'all
hold on.
beat Georgia,
I
y'all
don't
deserve
mind
it.
explaining. Hold up. I don't mind explaining. I can understand.
I get what you're saying, but I just gave you examples of all those teams beating out Alabama's, the Ole Misses, the LSU's, the Floridas.
Okay, so LSU beat Ole Miss, who beat the hell out of Georgia, who beat the hell out of Texas. What does that mean?
Yeah, it means Texas won the games they should have, and these other teams didn't. Simple.
No, it means none of your logic that you just said about they beat them who beat them don't mean nothing. That's everybody. Just because somebody beat somebody and you didn't play that other somebody, that doesn't mean
But we beat the somebodies that beat those other teams, though.
LSU beat Ole Miss, who beat Georgia, who beat y'all.
Okay, so what? We beat Michigan, who beat Ohio State.
That's what,
Right,
that's,
and that
that's,
doesn't mean
that's what
anything
Steve's
either.
saying. That's what he's saying. That's what he's
Yeah,
saying.
but I'm saying we're at the end of the day, we played the SEC schedule. We beat Georgia in the SEC title game. It's simple.
And what I'm saying is y'all had a soft SEC schedule. And by soft SEC schedule means y'all played the SEC teams, true enough, but you didn't play the best SEC teams in the SEC this year. You did play one of them and you lost to them.
I'm
Right.
making
But
this
what
look.
I'm
We
saying
making
is,
this easy.
what if we beat them now?
Make it this easy. Would if Texas played Georgia's schedule this year, would they still be in the playoffs? It's really that
Yes.
simple.
Yes.
I don't know.
Ooh,
I'm
that's
not
a
saying
great
no though, but
question.
I
That's
don't know.
tough. That's tough. That's a great
Yes.
question.
Basically, if you're saying that you don't think Texas is a top 12 team in the nation, then
I think they are. I think I picked them
exactly.
to win it. I
Well,
think I
with
picked them to
the
win the
top
championship.
12 doesn't mean you make the playoffs. I just said I don't think certain team that's gonna make the playoffs are top 12 team. It's just the way it's set up that they may make it in. But Texas, if they play the Georgia schedule, that'd be tough, big dog.
Texas at the worst would have 3 losses at the worst, and that got Georgia, Alabama. Well, not Georgia yet, but if they lose, they're still in. That would be 3 losses. That got Alabama in with 3. I think Texas would still get in.
Okay.
Here's my thing about that. The Texas is benefiting from being ranked high at the beginning of the beginning of the season. They're benefiting from being ranked high. So when you lose, you're already ranked in the top 5. You lose, you don't drop out of the top 10 if you lose to Georgia. But had they been ranked 12 and then they lost to Georgia, they dropped to 16. They wouldn't have. Who would have said that they could have won all the rest of those games on that schedule? Who says they worked their way back up to the top 12?
Well, same thing. Georgia's benefiting being ranked high. Alabama's benefiting being ranked high. That goes for anybody.
But they all beat tougher teams than y'all did. Both of those teams beat tougher teams than you did.
Who did Alabama beat?
Georgia.
Alabama beat Georgia.
Right, but if Texas beats them, they have the same win. So, okay.
Facts.
What else?
Let me
So-
look at the record, man.
That's what I'm
What it
saying.
comes down
Alabama.
to-
Yeah, I mean Alabama. They're overrated.
Alabama beat South Carolina too.
Yeah, but they lost to Vanderbilt, who we beat.
They did. I'm not here.
So
I'm not here
so
to
get them
dispute
out
that.
of there. So get them out of there and add.
No. No.
Guess, you know who else Texas beat up on that Alabama couldn't beat? Oklahoma.
I said that earlier.
Yeah. So we got to stop acting like this is Nick Saban's Alabama. Also, Nick Saban's Alabama, we beat up on them last year too.
They did.
Last year didn't mean anything about this. Quit bringing it up, bro.
Hey, they were the SEC champs. We beat them.
In Tuscaloosa.
What's that?
In Tuscaloosa.
Yep. Whip them boys. Stuff that LSU forgot how to do in Tuscaloosa.
Hey, watch your mouth. You got to you credit. You did the.
I definitely shot at you, bro.
Hey,
Yo,
LSU beat that same Alabama team y'all beat last year, the year before.
Box office is a dangerous man.
Yeah, this is too easy, man. Keep it going. Let's go, Keo.